and the beak snapped shut
Oh, wow.
on my fingers, and I quickly went, Marcus, get it off of me!
Hi everyone, I'm Xingyi and welcome to our first ever hashtag Ask Mandai Anything, where you ask, we answer. And today, we're very lucky to have one of our vets today, Dr. Trent.
Hi guys.
He'll be the one here answering all your questions. Dr. Trent, can you tell everyone more about yourself?
My name's Dr. Trent. I came over to Singapore from Australia. I worked as a general practitioner vet as well as an exotic animal vet. I used to treat all kinds of things before I came here. That was great, but when I got the opportunity to come and work at Mandai Wildlife Group, I couldn't say no, and so I've been here for about 4.5 years now.
What kind of questions do you think you're gonna expect?
Could be any number of things. I'm sure we'll talk about vets and getting into vet, talk about things related to the sort of work we do. Yeah, I'm up for any sort of question that may come up, so hope we can get right into it.
So let's begin with our very first question. What made you decide to become a vet?
I was interested in all kinds of things to do with animals, particularly reptiles, are one of my favourite animal groups out there. And that was pushed on by the fact that I used to keep a lot of reptiles in Australia, including venomous snakes. And it was really hard to get vet care for those animals because they're potentially dangerous and a lot of vets weren't able to see them. So I wanted to be able to provide that for my animals and for other people in the same situation.
What are the harsh realities of being a wildlife vet?
Yeah, this is a big one. I think a lot of people think it's kind of like the dream job, you know, working with all these cool animals and you are often out in the field and it has a very romanticized sort of ideology of what it is meant to be. You know, these are wild animals and the wild world is a harsh one. And so the problem that often happens is making very tough decisions on what their future can be. And they're beautiful animals and we don't want to see anything like that ever happen. And often they've got a lot of conservation value. They might be quite endangered. It's one of those aspects that if you're interested in following that career path, you know, it needs to be taken very seriously.
All right, on to our next question. Wow, this one I think is about the bird paradise. Which birds were the most difficult to relocate from Jurong Bird Park to Bird Paradise?
Right. The most difficult, I think, and the ones that need the most work were definitely the cassowaries. They are very big birds, very strong birds, and this had to be done at night time. It was about 4 a.m. when we met to move these animals. We had the guys who had to move them out of the cage, but they're walking with riot shields up behind the cassowaries to push them along. And it's completely pitch dark and you can hear the clang, clang, bash, bash as the cassowaries are kicking against those riot shields. It's a unnerving experience.
I'm glad the cassowaries are safely here.
Yes, can happily say the cassowaries have safely moved across.
All right, let's move on to the next question. I don't know whether is there any funniest vet story you have.
One time that sticks out in my mind was we had a hornbill that we'd done an anesthesia on. It was a bar-pouched hornbill. It's a very big bird and his beak is about that long. He was in the middle of recovery. One of the nurses at Bird Paradise, he was admiring the beak of the hornbill and saying, oh look, you can really feel where the pressure points would be on the beak. The bird's not completely awake, so it looks like fine. And I go, oh yeah, let me have a feel. And so I put it on my hand. And then as I'm doing it, I see the eyes slowly open up and look at me and the beak snapped shut on my fingers. And I quickly went, Marcus, get it off of me. It really hurt. I can say it really hurt. It's funny looking back. It was not funny at the time, but it was definitely funny looking back.
Okay, moving on to our next question. How do you ensure the mental well-being of animals, especially the big cats?
This is a tough one, and it's actually something that requires a lot of different departments and a lot of different input to make it work. And they need to be free of certain potential problems. So free of bad health and disease is one. We need to make sure they've got available food, we've got available space, available activities for the animal to be involved in. There's actually quite a bit of research that's already been done on what these animals do require. And so we hinge on a lot of that research that's available in order to make the best decisions on their husbandry and their care and their nutrition and their enrichment every day. A lot of these guys don't have great impressions of vets, for example. I had to treat an ear infection in a lion, and this lion did not like vets. And so every time we would look through the mesh, she would rush up to the mesh and roar full volume, mouth open. It's an incredibly loud sound, like it makes windows rattle around you, it's that loud. There's nothing quite like having a big cat roar at your face to sort of put you in your place a little bit.
So next one, we have a very interesting question. So do the zoo animals have their teeth brushed just like our pet dogs?
As you can imagine, a lot of the animals are large and potentially dangerous, and so being able to brush their teeth is not possible on all of them. Some of the animals are trained to allow this sort of thing, so this involves fitting it in with annual health assessments for them and getting them down often via sedation for the big animals that we can't work directly with, opening their mouths and taking a look, and they'll get a scale and polish, kind of like what we will get. We even do similar to like orthodontics with the birds here. We can repair fractures in beaks, redirect the direction of beaks and things. So there's a lot of possibilities. It's really highly evolved part of the industry.
Going on to that, how do you do X-rays on the big animals?
Some of these animals are actually, again, trained and comfortable with having an X-ray plate. So we can have a portable X-ray and we can put the plate up against the body part, and these animals will allow it to be positioned just right to take the X-ray from there in the field. But some of the animals obviously are not going to tolerate that so well. For those cases, they may need to be sedated and brought to the animal hospital, where X-rays will be taken on a great big board. It's a much bigger table than this, and from there we can make the appropriate diagnosis for what the animal needs.
This is interesting. The next question. Can animals take MC?
Yeah, they can.
They can?
Absolutely, they can. Yeah. If they're not able to, say, move around or walk around, they might have a sore leg, they may be off with a cough or some other sort of medical problem. We actually give them a specific time frame before they need to be rechecked, in which they need to rest before we then give them a review and a check and make sure they're feeling much better. Technically, it is MC. We literally call it MC here for all the animals. It's the easiest way to make it make sense.
So it's real, they take MC. The next question is, how do you check for the health of big aquatic animals?
In some fish and species, they can be given an injectable anaesthetic, but for a lot of these guys that were mentioned, it's through a in-water sedation, and we can then assess them much more closely, get our hands on them, take samples as needed, do ultrasounds, do things like that to give them a very thorough assessment before giving the necessary treatments and start to acclimate them back into the tank. Yeah.
Great, okay. Now you know that we have quite a lot of parks now in Mandai. So the big question is, do all the animals in the parks get checked at least once a year, a yearly health check?
The most regular checks are done on the really young animals as well as the older animals. In fact, we have a whole geriatric management program for our older animals here, where we try to undertake a physical examination or a check most years, sort of based on the needs of the animal and when they were last checked as well.
So you should do your health check yearly too, just like our animals. How many vets are responsible for taking care of all of them?
Bird Paradise, we have a team of 3 vets here, and at the zoo and Night Safari and River Wonders, we have a team of about 6 vets there. And we have a nursing team, total combined, I think it's around 7 people as well. So it's a fairly big team, but there are a lot of animals. There's quite a few thousand of them, so it's a lot of care and a round-the-clock job.
All right, the last question. Is it possible to intern, volunteer, or at least gain some experience on animal care or veterinarian science pre-uni at the parks?
Yeah, there really are. There's a lot of ways I think you could do it. We love having the students or interns here, so please look into it.
All you need to do is head to our website and inquire on Get Involved, and my colleagues in the zoo or in Mandai will answer for you. I hope we have answered all your burning questions. So let's give it up to Dr. Trent here for answering them.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Well, this concludes our first ever
#AskMandaiAnything,
where you ask,
And we answer.
Bye bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. I have one burning question here from Sumo Paws. They ask, Meow, are you Aquafina?
I'm Mandai Aquafina. Do I look like to you?
Oh my god, thank you. If I'm famous, I'll remember you guys.